Many of us use pesticides and chemicals in and around our homes. Outside, we make the grass look greener and kill dandelions. Inside, we work to get rid of roaches, spiders, and other pesky bugs. For the city, weed and insect control is a safety issue, and officials want you to know there's a law requiring commercial pesticide applicators to register.
Essentially what it says is that anybody that applies pesticides in the city of Milwaukee for money or does even advertises it is required to have a registration certificate from the city of Milwaukee Department of Neighborhood Services.
Well, that protects the consumer. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is to protect the consumer, to make sure that the person that is applying materials inside of a home or around a home is competent and is doing it properly.
Batzner complies with the regulations, as do most companies. Their technicians are trained and certified by the state. Over 300 commercial applicators are registered with the city. Those who aren't should register, say officials, in what is a consumer protection issue.
First, they have to obviously have the successful completion of the commercial pest control applicator's license through the state, and then they would call our phone number.
Jerry Batzner says new materials and application methods are constantly changing the way they work.
Both the inside and the outside for pest control is a very targeted application. It's not a general broad application by no means. It's an approach that would be putting the material right where the pests are living or where they're known to harbor.
There's a number of different methods of treating it. I can treat it A with a bait, which is preferred, or B with a crack and crevice pesticide treatment. So we grab our bait gun, and we like to place our baits up in the cracks in the corners where roaches are commonly found. So what we want to do, the theory with this is putting the bait where the roaches are actually hiding. Therefore, they don't have to travel very far to find the food source, and you should see results very quickly. And again, this doesn't change the environment in any way whatsoever or the air quality in the person's home. And it's the most safe, most effective way of eliminating the pests.
Outside of the application might be more around a window frame or near a base of a house or overhangs. Again, it's a very targeted application. It's just not a general application. We use less material this year than we did 2 years ago, and the amount of material that we use this year will probably be 1/12 of what we used 5 years ago.
City employees who apply chemicals to such municipal properties as medians are exempt from the law, and there are some other exceptions.
Homeowners, owners of 1 or 2 families, actually up to 12 families if they're doing it on their own property, are exempt from the regulations. People that are applying tamper-proof bait stations within 2 feet of a home are also exempt.
Warning signs are required by state law when pesticides are applied by both commercial and non-commercial applicators. They're to remain in place until sunset the day following the application. Do-it-yourselfers should always be careful.
Just follow the rules and regulations listed on the labeling of the pesticide. That's the manufacturer obviously has the most expertise in how to properly use it, and those rules and regulations are set by the EPA, so basically if you follow those rules and regulations, you should be okay.
Well, with any type of application, it's all on the expertise of the person that's applying the material. If the material's not applied in the right area, they're not going to see a result.
Milwaukee is the only large city in the state that requires annual registration by commercial pesticide applicators. The city says you should ask whether the company helping you control weeds or insects is certified and registered.
If somebody has a certificate, they can be assured that the person has a state commercial pest control applicator's license and that they've taken the time and effort to read the rules and regulation of the city of Milwaukee and hopefully do a good job applying the pesticides in a proper manner so as to not create a public health or safety problem.
I'm ever so grateful to my friend Mike Cudhay for his wonderful contribution to this community, but especially to the Northwest Side. It needed to have the image perception changed. And this today, the opening of this facility, in fact, will be the start of that.
The Northwest Side covers parts of 4 aldermanic districts with many individual neighborhood designations. Nardelli says there have been and are still problems there, but not as severe as many believe.
Well, I think because we have a very diverse population on the Northwest Side, I think the fact that people are seeing more people of color on the Northwest Side, there's a belief that somehow that means that connotes to crime. The fact of the matter is that the statistics do not show that. I think that what we need to do is we need to continue to demonstrate that the perceptions that crime is high, that it's rampant on the Northwest Side, that there are problems out here, are frankly just perception. There are no facts to back it up.
The Northwest Side's early history is dominated by farming, with nearly all the farm sites sold off for development. Early settlers named a section for their former home, Granville, New York. Churches such as the West Granville Presbyterian, dating to 1861, are among the reminders of the past. Another is Salem Evangelical Lutheran Church, this building dedicated in 1863.
Yeah, it was strictly a farming community, and when we bought our lot and built our first home here in 1954, there were still a lot of farms around. As a matter of fact, across the street from us was a farm that eventually became a subdivision, Golden Gate subdivision.
The town of Granville lost its semi-rural image quickly when other subdivisions were developed and builders petitioned Milwaukee for annexation. Municipal services were a key ingredient.
They put the oil terminal out here on 107th Street on the other side of Good Hope, Brown Deer Road, and then they did run water through parts of the town of Granville to give them fire protection out there. And that was kind of the opening foot in the door.
Miller says both Milwaukee and the village of Brown Deer wanted to annex the town of Granville.
I was of the group that wanted it to stay in Brown Deer.
Miller was a village trustee at the time, running for re-election.
But on the day that I was elected, the Supreme Court gave the area to Milwaukee, so then I had to make a decision whether I wanted to move into Brown Deer and retain my job as trustee or stay where I was and give up the job.
Miller decided to stay with Milwaukee in what was the largest single annexation in city history. In 1964, Milwaukee began to develop an industrial park just west of 76th Street. More housing followed. The Cole family began to develop Northridge in 1969. Alderman Nardelli believes the mall and commercial area around the shopping center will rebound from recent economic and image problems.
Well, very soon Walmart's going to be building a new store at 76th and Brown Deer Road. While it's in the 9th Aldermanic District, it's a store that obviously believes that there's a market here. And the whole Brown Deer Road strip is very active, very much alive. Of course, you know, we lost the Yonker store and Penny's is moving out, but you know, there are people out there. I met recently with some people that are very interested in the Northridge complex. If in fact that deal goes through and they're able to put the package together, I think you'll see some dramatic changes of that facility, not the least of which could be a name change. Though there could potentially be a new owner and a name change, even today, it's a well-run, well-maintained, clean, safe environment in which to shop. But perception has chased people away, and we're about to changing that.
Problems at the North Meadows condominium project also dominated stories about the Northwest Side in recent years and helped in the decline. But the city and condo association have taken steps to resolve many of its problems.
There's no question, there had been a lot of problems there. You had 576 housing units. That puts an awful lot of people in a small area, and that can create some social ills, and they occurred. To their credit, that board of directors spent a great deal of their homeowners' money in security, really pretty much abating any of the problems that they had. And a few years ago, the city went in, working with the police department, and actually cleaned up that complex considerably. They are in the process of looking at a name change for North Meadows and calling it something else. So If that happens at Northridge and it happens at North Meadows, I think those can be good things for the area to give them some better sounding names, so that that same connotation, the same history that befell that area, and it was justifiable at one point in time, no longer exists and probably should go away with a name change, and we think that that will happen.
While shopping strips and main thoroughfares like Brown Deer Road tend to identify the Northwest Side to many people, there is upscale, suburban-type development taking place throughout the area with a racially diverse population.
Well, we're in the Heritage. It's now called Heritage Heights. It's going to be soon changed to the Heritage because it's got a number of properties to it, and it will be expanding considerably south of our current location. 114th Street to 107th Street, and then from Green Tree Road, ostensibly south, and it'll go to almost to Mill Road when they're all done. That's called the Heritage. Then off of 91st and Mill Road, a little bit north of Mill Road, on the west side of the street is a project that's being currently developed by William Ryan Homes. They're going to be building some high-end single-family homes that will look over the Little Menominee River on the northwest side. And then even much larger project, which is called Fairway Place, which is being developed by Town Realty along the eastern edges of Dretska Park. And those are huge. I mean, I'm talking huge lots.
Miller agrees that many people seem to have confidence in the area.
Here, just over this part here, along Dretska Golf Course, they're developing another subdivision there with large lots. And there's not a house built yet, but I understand that about 2/3 of the lots are sold already. And then further down toward Brown Deer Road, somebody put in an industrial park there, and as fast as they get these buildings up, they're occupied. So I think that some other people in this area and are willing to invest in here.
All of the problems here haven't been resolved yet, but those working for change say new housing and commercial additions such as the Hilton properties at Park Place are positive developments and spell good news for the future of the Northwest Side.
All these things and what's happening with the retail and what's happening with housing, I think are all the kind of things that that are boons for the future and will continue to shed a much brighter and much nicer light on our part of the town.
That part of town could also be known as something other than the Northwest Side. Alderman Nardelli says he'd like to see it be known as Historic Granville, and is talking to many others about that possibility. Urban communities like the Clark Square neighborhood on Milwaukee's South Side face complex problems: inadequate housing, adults without jobs, children and teens needing a safe place. Community Development Block Grant funds work in neighborhoods like these through groups like Journey House, which helps 4,000 families in a $1.6 million annual budget, 1/3 of it from block grant money.
Journey House has served the Clark Square neighborhood for over 30 years. We were established in 1969, and we provide 4 different kinds of programs. One, we have a neighborhood initiatives program where we help residents become first-time homeowners. We also give housing assistance to people who are homeless or families that are homeless or doubled or tripled up. And we work with local businesses to revitalize the neighborhood. We're a targeted investment neighborhood from the city of Milwaukee, so it's a neighborhood that's thriving and economically developing here. We're very excited about that. We have an adult learning center, which is located in 19th and Washington, and there we provide English as a second language. We have bilingual English, Spanish, GED, computer training. We have job training. We have on-site childcare, so parents can attend classes or family literacy classes while their kids attend the childcare. We also have a component which is part of our workforce development division where we place adults and youth into full-time permanent employment, which is year-round, and that's been a very successful program.
And then there's the Journey House Youth Center. On this day, 6 to 12-year-olds in the Journey House Summer Camp program were indoors because of rain. But that didn't dampen their fun or interfere with the day's schedule.
We have, during the school year, we run after-school programs. We're open till 9 at night. Saturdays we're open all day. We have academic enrichment, tutoring programs. In the Clark Square neighborhood, we have 60 to 100 kids per square block. On the census tract, we're designated as a high poverty area. A lot of our kids, if Journey House wasn't here, they wouldn't have many positive activities to do. So we provide those opportunities. Not only are they having fun, but they're learning while they're doing it. And so there's always a rhyme and reason behind everything we do. So we're very focused on youth development. And what I see is millions, bazillions of lights in their eyes, and that these are our future leaders, and that we're helping developing them so that they can lead the neighborhood.
Journey House also serves as a safe place for teens, offering programs like Girls in the House, where girls 13 to 18 share their ideas and goals.
They should be in it because it'll help them stay out of trouble and lead them the right way they should be going. Instead of going the wrong way, it help them keep staying in school. Because the people, they help us with our schoolwork, so we keep good grades and keep us in our books and they try to talk us not to drop out of school and all this.
So it's a model not only for athletics and physical development to establish a sense of healthy well-being, but also pregnancy prevention, and it's academically oriented, so we expose girls to a variety of non-traditional careers, and they shadow, and we have professional female mentors to excite them about going on for college and pursuing their degree, and we've been very successful at that.
Not to be outdone, teenage boys started their own group, Boys to Men.
And they teach us how to stay out of gangs, stay away from drugs and stuff, and stay off the streets. With the drugs and gangs, they took us on a field trip to the prison to let the prisoners talk to us about what they went through and how they got there. Being on the street ain't gonna get you nowhere. And they try to help us move on, if we need a summer job, they'll help us get a summer job or something just for us to stay off the street, even if it's volunteer.
This group specifically focuses on cultural traditions of African, Puerto Rican, and Mexican heritage, and what it is to be an African American, Mexican, or Puerto Rican male, and talks about male responsibility, and talks about communication and how we communicate with the opposite gender. And so it's a really positive force that we saw the boys also needed a space where they could rap about their concerns and issues. So now we have two groups, the Girls in the House and Boys to Men, and they both are developing young leaders for our neighborhood.
Leaders like Alejandro Sanchez, who works with the 6 to 12-year-olds.
And I work with the Journey House Longfellow Youth Wraparound Program, summer day camp. We take the kids to field trips, take them out to the park, do activities with them, arts and crafts, team sport, take them to a pool to get wet. And every Friday we go on a field trip, help the little kids out.
Over on the north side, the Goodwill Technology Center is another example of community block grant money in action.
Its purpose and mission is to train City of Milwaukee residents in information technology skills and programs that roughly will help them into better careers and also get them into higher positions as well as job wages. Our job is to train the students for roughly 25 weeks, 6 months, into 5 components, 5 modules of information technology as well as job readiness programs. After the end of the 25 weeks, we will assist them with job placement into corporations that offer IT information technology positions.
Block grant funding of $800,000 started this program last January. 53 have graduated, 72 more are now in training.
In addition to that training, we have also equipped them with career readiness skills. Not only do we complement them with information technology skills and computers, but we also let them know what they need to know in the world of work.
Abraham Ojo graduated in June and was selected to help develop a website for the Goodwill Center. He's glad it was there for him.
It's very important that this kind of grant is given to centers like the Goodwill Technology Training Center so that people can really get a chance to improve themselves
The City of Milwaukee, Marquette University, and Electronic Data Systems are partners in the program with help from a Business Advisory Council.
Roughly, these businesses have embraced Goodwill Industries and said, yes, this is a phenomenal program. Upon completion of the graduation, we would definitely like to look at the students and hire them within our companies. And as a result of hiring that student, they not only do good for their company, but they're doing well for the community because they're reaching out to City of Milwaukee residents and actually securing jobs for them.
Being at the children's school quite often has led me more and more seeking knowledge and tutoring, and a friend of mine was a student here in the last session, and she said, Cheryl, I think you would like to do this. And what that does is that's giving me a little bit of a background into the business aspect of our community, which is just wonderful because then I know what's in a business.
The Community Development Block Grant Office works with community leaders in 17 neighborhood planning areas of Milwaukee. Funding is awarded through federal guidelines and competitive applications. This year, for the first time, a standing committee of the Common Council oversees the process.
It had been a special committee because it was serving a special need with a special source of money. However, that had some difficulties because eventually any decision that the block grant committee made, in order to get to the mayor to sign, it had to go through the council.
So the Community Development Committee was created as an official committee of the council with 7 aldermen as members.
The main concern of the 7 members of the Community Development Committee and the whole council in general are to meet the needs in the best way we can using the limited money that we have. And where the tension comes in is, well, are the needs bigger in the 9th Aldermanic District or in the second neighborhood strategic planning area, which is where I am, or are they greater somewhere else, and how do we balance those off? And it's a good political process. We look at the needs and we talk about it, and then we make decisions.
Alderman Richards says a number of his colleagues have asked that the committee look at poverty needs throughout the city, not just in the 17 neighborhood strategic planning areas, and that's going to happen.
We've set the boundaries. We can set the boundaries to be the entire city of Milwaukee as long as what we're doing in all of the aldermanic districts is addressing the poverty issues. So the HUD and the federal guidelines don't say to us, you have to stay within a delimited area, but what you have to do is that all the things you do, all the needs you address will address poverty in the city of Milwaukee.
Yes, because we're all learning something, and we can all be viable people in our community.
We could not have done it without the Community Development Block Grant. We're located right in the central city, 27th and North Avenue, and that money has really helped us to build out the facility that we're currently in.
I just really think the block grant, the federal block grant that comes to the city, the CDBG, is just a vital source of organizing our neighborhoods, getting community resources and support, and letting our families, especially our families who are under the 200% poverty, gain opportunity so they can be economically sustainable.
When I come to the Journey House, I'm just looking for a place to come when it ain't nothing. I can't be on the street, so I don't be on the street a lot. I come to the Journey House because I feel safe in the Journey House.
I just love working with kids. I always work with kids, coach them. In soccer, I coach the little kids, working with little kids right now.
What does that do for them? What does it do for you?
Just leads us both in the right direction, just keep us out of trouble, keep little kids, keep them out of the streets,
Like I said during graduating ceremony, when you have something that changes your life, then it's a life-changing experience.
The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department new helicopter took to the skies last fall. It's primarily an observation helicopter used to conduct search missions, aid in traffic control, and illegal drug investigations. The military surplus chopper looked quite different on its arrival.
When we got it, it was totally stripped. It was what they call OD green, kind of an olive drab from the military. We got it out of Fort Carson, Colorado, and had no avionics in it whatsoever. The whole inside was gutted out. Our officers flew it back from Fort Carson to Milwaukee, and then we made a pledge to the community and to the county board and county exec that we would do this all with non-property tax levy. And we got grants from the federal government and highway transportation and other areas. Took it down to a place in Tennessee, and they totally retrofitted this aircraft that you see here today.
Check and ensure that filter buttons are in. Good, yeah. Transmission oil filter. Check cap secure. Transmission oil cooler exhaust.
The helicopter gets a thorough pre-flight check prior to every mission. Pilot Douglas Henning learned to fly in the military. He's one of 2 deputies on call to fly the helicopter.
Of the missions that we've been called specifically by law enforcement agencies to go and do those missions, the biggest 2 have been searching missions and then also surveillance missions. In addition to those, we've done some aerial photograph, photography, videography, command and control, damage assessment, and those kinds of missions.
The Sheriff's Department star is one obvious clue that this is a law enforcement, not a television station helicopter. There are also 2 other indications, 2 pieces of equipment you won't find on most TV channel helicopters, a high-intensity light called a night sun, and an infrared camera.
Which consists of a visible light and then an infrared camera, which allows us to zoom in and out on a situation and to see the heat that's generated from a person's body or from a vehicle. And that's something that you can't get any other way than with an infrared camera. In addition to that, there's the night sun, which is a 32 million candle power spotlight, which provides a lot of light to light up a situation. There was a boat in Lake Michigan, and there was a passenger on the boat that was in distress. And the aircraft located the boat, and then they used a night sun to light up that boat to make the fire department, sheriff's department, police department boats aware of the location of that. So that's another tool that we have. It's also been used for doing nighttime ground searches.
You won't see the sheriff's helicopter flying the kinds of rescue and firefighting missions you often see on television.
We can't do everything. There are limitations to what we can do and what we can't do. As I mentioned before, it's an observation helicopter, and that's the purpose of it now, and that's what it's going to be used for. At this point, it's a part-time unit, and it's on call, and that takes away from a lot of what we would be able to get involved in otherwise. But we had to start with it somewhere, and this is where we're starting.
If you hear the whirling blades of a helicopter at night and see an extremely bright light, you can be fairly sure it's the Sheriff's Department. What should you do?
I would stay in my house if it were me, because quite frankly, if bottom line is just keep an eye out and stay out of harm's way.
While the chopper is most often used in search and observation missions locally, it has also been called for missions outside Milwaukee County.
We have an agreement with the State Division of Emergency Management. They fund us $150,000 a year for operating and maintenance of the aircraft. And as a result of that, we'll fly to primarily the surrounding counties and assist the sheriff's departments upon request.
Sheriff Baldwin says departments in almost all the metropolitan areas of Milwaukee's size have helicopters. He says it's a state-of-the-art law enforcement tool that's supported by every police department in Milwaukee County.
It's a useful tool, and for the citizens and the taxpayers, it's a very inexpensive, useful tool, if you will, because it's all covered with no property tax levy, and we're real proud of that.
The helicopter is now housed at a hangar on the grounds of the Milwaukee Regional Medical Center. In a couple of months, the sheriff expects it to be moving to a new home at Timmerman Field.